The most dangerous document in human history is not a classified government file. It is not a leaked email or a hacked server. It is a 2,000-year-old text written in Ge'ez, preserved in the mountains of the country, that the most powerful institution on earth has spent centuries ensuring you never read. They didn't erase it because it was wrong. They erased it because it was right. And it named the system. You are entering the audit files. The Shadow Unit traces the systemic extractions hidden in plain sight, from billion-dollar ghost ledgers to the information laundering of the stolen 81-book canon. What they buried, we audit. The forensic record begins in the 16th century, at the Council of Trent. Convened from 1545 to 1563, the Roman Church performed what our unit identifies as a deliberate, systemic redaction. The result? A Western biblical canon locked to 66 books, a 23% reduction from the original unredacted record. From a systems architecture perspective, this is not theology. This is data management, specifically, selective deletion with controlled access privileges. The architects of this operation understood a fundamental principle of information control. You do not need to destroy a dangerous file. You need only to remove it from the index. If the file does not appear in the search results, for most users, it does not exist. But the full canon did not disappear. It survived. Preserved in the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, the oldest continuously practicing Christian institution on earth, the original 81-book canon remained intact, untouched, uncorrupted. The Sentinel archive, hidden in plain sight in a language the Shadow Department never bothered to translate. This is the architecture of the erasure, not destruction. Jurisdictional removal, the same tactic we documented in file number 007, the Vatican Bank's sovereign black box. Control the jurisdiction, control the record, control reality. The Book of Enoch, Metzihafe Enoch, is the most strategically dangerous document in the redacted Western canon. Removed from the Standard Bible in the 4th century, survived only because the Ethiopian Church refused to surrender it. Our forensic unit has audited its contents. What we found is not mythology. It is a technical blueprint. Enoch chapter 6 documents the descent of what the text calls the Watchers. In forensic terms, an organized group who infiltrated human governance, establishing a hybrid power structure through bloodline access and institutional capture. The text names their hierarchy. It describes their primary extraction model, the systematic harvesting of human labor, resources, and knowledge in exchange for what the manuscript calls forbidden knowledge, metallurgy, financial instruments, weapons technology, and the architecture of population control. In modern forensic language, this is the original Shadow Department, the original intelligence apparatus, the original public-private partnership between institutional power and hidden control structures. The Fakata Iyasus, the explanation of Jesus, goes further. It is a prophetic audit of end times governance structures. It describes a global system of total accounting where no citizen can participate in the economy without being indexed to a central authority through a marking of the hand and mind. In 2026 forensic terminology, this is a multi-factor biometric authentication protocol, one part physical, one part cognitive alignment with the system's compliance logic. A document the West refused to translate, describing a CBDC architecture 1,500 years before the first central bank digital currency was ever proposed. The Metzihafe Aximatos, the suppressed creation account, documents a cosmological framework that directly challenges the foundational assumptions of the post-Enlightenment power structure. It is not compatible with a system built on infinite human extractability. These are not coincidences. This is a pattern. This is a forensic signature. If you are beginning to see the forensic signature, if you recognize the code beneath the narrative, you are now operating at clearance level 2. The Sentinel archive is the master key. Subscribe to the Zion Sentinel. Follow the truth. Protect the soul. The suppression of these 81 books was not a theological disagreement. Our forensic audit reveals it was a strategic operation, and it ran in parallel with the financial operation we documented in file number 007. Here is the mechanism. The same institutional power structure that built the Vatican Bank, the sovereign black box that operated outside every secular regulator on Earth, also managed the Western information environment. They understood a core systems principle. You cannot maintain a financial extraction model if the population has access to the audit report that names the extraction model. The 81-book canon is that audit report. The Book of Enoch names the architects of the control system. The Fakare Iyasus maps the governance endgame. The Metzihafe Axamaros reveals the original design specification. So they laundered the information. They took the technical audit report, the 81-book unredacted canon, and replaced it with a fragmented 66-book redacted ledger. They converted the Watchers from named entities into vague spiritual allegory. They transformed the global governance blueprint into metaphor. They deleted the names, the mechanisms, and the paper trail. The result? A civilization that cannot recognize the forensic signature of the cage it is living inside. They laundered the books to hide the heist. And the heist has been running, uninterrupted, for 500 years. In 2026, the suppression operation is entering its second phase because the redaction is failing. The Ge'ez manuscripts, the original language texts, are being digitized, translated, and distributed globally. The Ethiopian Orthodox diaspora is sharing the 81-book canon on platforms the Shadow Department does not fully control. Scholars outside the Western academic gatekeeping structure are producing the first modern forensic translations of the Fikare Iyasus, and the institutional response has been systematic. Academic platforms have quietly categorized Ge'ez scholarship as pseudepigraphical, a technical label meaning falsely attributed, designed to discredit without debating. Major publishing houses refuse to produce mainstream English translations of the Fikare Iyasus. Search algorithms deprioritize Ethiopian Orthodox canon in favor of the standard Western lectionary. This is digital information laundering. Same extraction model, updated architecture. The Shadow Department does not need to burn books in 2026. They need only to make them unsearchable. But the audit reveals a critical vulnerability in their system. You cannot launder what is already inside the soul. The 81-book archive is the master key, not because it predicts the future, but because it names the architects. And an architect cannot operate once they have been identified. They are selling you a curated information environment. They are installing a cognitive leash. The heist is no longer a theory. It is a live operation. The forensic conclusion of tonight's audit is this. The 81 books were not erased because they were spiritually dangerous. They were erased because they were institutionally dangerous. They provided a complete audit trail, the names, the mechanism, the timeline, and the endgame of the control system that the Shadow Department has been operating since before the first dollar was printed. The Book of Enoch names the Watchers. The Fakare Iyasus maps the governance protocol. The Metzihafe Axamaros reveals the original system design. And the Shadow Department spent 5 centuries ensuring you would never connect those 3 documents to the world you are living in right now. The redaction is failing. The Sentinel archive is active. In our next forensic file, we open the Book of Enoch, chapter by chapter, and perform a line-by-line audit of every system it predicted. The Watchers, the bloodline infrastructure, the mechanism of total population indexing, the file that was too precise to survive. There is one asset the Shadow Department cannot freeze, one asset they cannot delete from the ledger: knowledge. And the unredacted canon is the only knowledge base that predates their control of the record. Subscribe to the Zion Sentinel. The next file drops this week. What do they not want you to find in the Ge'ez manuscripts? Drop your clearance code in the command center below. This is the Zion Sentinel. Follow the truth, protect the soul.